Now, again, there's nothing wrong with keeping boxes until there is something wrong with keeping boxes. And here are the things that may happen if you keep too many boxes. And when I say keep too many boxes, what I mean is when you keep boxes and then they get in the way, that you have more boxes than you have space for, or you are experiencing some of the other downsides of keeping boxes. And we're typically talking about cardboard boxes here.
You are listening to the Decluttering Club podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Mueller, and it's my mission to equip women to declutter their homes, their time, and their lives so that they have energy for what matters most.
Welcome to the Decluttering Club podcast, episode number 79. Today, we're going to talk about what to do if it's a really good box. Oh my gosh. You have probably seen that meme going around Facebook. This comes around from time to time and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a really good box, but it's a really good box. And we kind of joke about these things, but actually this can be a really big problem. And so we're going to talk about that today because it doesn't have to be a really big problem. And I know from talking to people in our membership that you can overcome the it's a really good box syndrome and you can have freedom from too many boxes in your life. Are you ready? So first of all, we're going to talk about the elephant in the room. And this looks like, oh my gosh, but it's a really good box. And I want to be prepared. Like we all like to be prepared. And we're like, hey, there's no reason to go out and spend money on a box when we could have perfectly good boxes at home for free. And this is what we do, isn't it? You get a box in the mail. Maybe it's an order. It's an Amazon box or whatever. And you're like, ooh, we should save this. We're going to need this. And chances are you probably will need a box from time to time. 100%. Like this makes a lot of sense. But it becomes a problem when we look at every box or when we look at lots of boxes and then we say, oh, it's a really good box, because boxes take up a lot of space. And boxes are all about potential. When we look at a quote unquote good box, we're seeing potential. We're kind of glamorizing it. I almost look at it as if we go to the extremes of like we're fondling boxes. And the way we talk about it is a little bit over the top sometimes. It's like, ooh, it's a really good box. We might need that box. And we're just imagining all the possibilities all the good things that will come from keeping this really good box. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with keeping boxes until there is something wrong with keeping boxes. And here are the things that may happen if you keep too many boxes. And when I say keep too many boxes, what I mean is when you keep boxes and then they get in the way, that you have more boxes than you have space for, or you are experiencing some of the other downsides of keeping boxes. And we're typically talking about cardboard boxes here. So here are some of the problems that come from keeping too many boxes. First of all, they take up a lot of room. Typically, we're not flattening the boxes. So they're taking up actually a lot of room. And there's nothing in them for the most part. So you have empty boxes taking up space. This is not a good thing if you are short on space. We don't want to sacrifice our space to empty space, to boxes that are just taking up space. So that's a problem. The next problem with keeping, quote unquote, too many boxes is that they kind of like break down over time. So a cardboard box that's in perfect shape, it's brand new. Maybe you got an order in the mail and the box held up very well. Over time, it's not going to stay in that condition. It's going to soften. It might get a little damp. It's going to break down. It's not going to stay in the same condition. And so if you have boxes that you've been keeping for more than a little while, they probably aren't quite as good as they were when you kept them. So this is important to know. What started out as a good box does not stay a good box, and we need to be aware. The next problem is that they do tend to attract moisture, so they might start to mildew, which is a very, very unpleasant thing for your home, or they can also attract critters. Maybe it's like rodents or insects or something like that. Cardboard is notorious for attracting these kinds of things. And you do not want this in your house. For goodness sake, if you have things in your home that are important to you, that are special to you, that you want to preserve, you don't want to be attracting unwanted critters. We want to clear that out and get that out of the house so that we can preserve the things that are not replaceable. It is so easy to replace a box. Let's be honest. $2 at Home Depot or at, I don't know, the dollar store, and you've got yourself a new box, or maybe it's $5. But to replace something more important, more special, photographs, like things that you can't replace, those cost way more than a couple bucks. So you want to be careful that you do not let your important special things become prey because you have kept and held on to boxes. So be aware. There is a cost to keeping cardboard over time. We forget that boxes are basically a renewable resource. For most of us, it's kind of like the grass growing. We don't have to tell the grass to grow. It's just going to grow, and then you're going to have to cut it. Same thing with boxes. If you're like me, we're ordering things. So there are new boxes showing up at our doorstep all the time. Maybe it's every day, maybe it's every week. So you're really going to have a replenishable source of boxes. So if you let a box go, all you have to do, if you need another box sometime in the future, is just wait. And likely the right box will show up and it will be in better condition and it will be available to you when you need it. I really want you to be careful that you're not hoarding boxes or that you're not holding on to boxes that, again, that you don't have room for or that may attract unwanted moisture or pests, because more boxes are on their way to you as we speak. That's the way I like to look at it. Another thing that a lot of people do is they're going to keep the boxes that come with the things that they purchase. So the classic example is like the TV. So if you bought a new TV, you may have kept the box, and it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If we ever want to move, we're going to want to pack that TV in its original box so it will be protected. Now, the problem is most of us are not moving, and maybe we don't even have that TV anymore. Or if we do decide to move, then we're going to have movers, and the movers are going to pack the TV. There are very simple ways to accomplish the task of protecting the TV that do not require you to keep that original box. And again, most of us don't even have that TV anymore. We're like 3 TVs on beyond that, but we never bothered to go back and just like clear out the old boxes. Same thing with like the toaster or the vacuum cleaner or whatever appliances you have. We tend to just have, maybe you were taught, hang on to that box. You might want to return it. You might need to take it back to the store. You're going to need the box. Yeah, you might need the box, but only for a very limited amount of time. If you've had that vacuum cleaner or that toaster for more than the 30-day or the 90-day refund period, you're probably not going to need the box. And a lot of places don't even require the box anymore. And could you get it in the box if you had to return it? Sometimes it's like once it's out of the box, the cat's out of the bag, we can't put it back in. It doesn't really fit anymore. So again, we just want to be using accurate thinking, and we want to be careful that the things that we are doing are actually effective. So if you're saying, I want to be able to return this item to the store, is this a need that you actually have, right? Or is this just like a FOMO thing? Is this just like, I'm doing this because I've always done it or because I'm afraid? And does it actually work? Could you actually use that box if you needed to? Do you still have the item? Again, so many people just kind of operate in default mode. They keep the box, but they never go back to see, I don't even have that item anymore, or I couldn't put it in the box if I had to. So that tells you, hey, it's time to get rid of these boxes. The cool thing about boxes, the thing that I really like, as opposed to other kinds of clutter, is that cardboard boxes are recyclable. This is a beautiful thing. And so if you have a regular habit, if you're doing maintenance, and if you recycle boxes regularly, let's say every time you can recycle, then they're not going to pile up and they're not going to become a problem for you. It's when we don't do that maintenance and when we do kind of let them sit, or maybe we store them on purpose, that then they can pile up. And now all of a sudden we have so many boxes and they're a problem. But again, boxes are recyclable in ways that lots of other things are not. So I really encourage you to take advantage of that quality of cardboard and get them out of your house. We always, always, always want to be intentional with the things that we are keeping. We don't want to be keeping things out of fear or out of guilt or out of lack. boxes are going to be showing up. They're going to replenish themselves. And I promise you, you're probably always going to be able to get the right box more or less when you need it, as long as you have a little bit of wait time. Limit your box stash. Decide upfront, how many do I want to keep? What does that look like? Is it one shelf? Is it two shelves? Is it, I'm going to keep four, one of a couple different sizes, and that's it? And then if I do need a box, either I just wait until one shows up, or maybe, and this is okay, this is not a failure on your part, maybe you do end up having to go out and buy a box. You spend a couple bucks if you have to ship something larger. But the trade-off is that you didn't have to store piles and piles of boxes just to be able to get that one box on the off chance that you should need it. This happens way less frequently than we think. So I really encourage you to take a look and see how often is this happening, and is it worth the price that I'm paying? Could I use the space that's currently being used for boxes? Could I use it for something else? So many of you tell me, I don't have enough room. I'm running out of space. And I'm like, boxes. That is the first place to look. You're going to free up so much space. We don't want to be wasting our precious space on cardboard boxes. Get those boxes out of the house, my friends. You will be glad you did. I'll see you next week.
That's all we have for you today. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a review. It would really help us to get the word out. And if you'd like to continue your decluttering journey with us, find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube at Decluttering Club, or on our website at thedeclutteringclub.com.